And hopefully everybody like us keeps waking other people up and they can't continue with this. And we're going to continue to win and we're going to change America for the better. So on the Guillotine tonight, we're going to get into Piers Morgan with Vincent Oshana, Michael Tyler Cohen, and some lady named Julie. I don't know who she is. But they're going to talk about the pardons that Biden is doing to his family and other people who we are likely have committed crimes over the last 4 years, or at least unethical things to prosecute Trump, try to go after him. But now that the shoe's on the other foot and they've opened the door to this weaponization of the DOJ, they want to play dumb and act like Trump's some bad guy and he's going to come here and try to make stuff up, but they can't admit. They say, oh yeah, they should be pardoned, but they definitely didn't commit any crimes. They didn't commit any crimes, but they definitely need to get pardoned because who knows what. So like and subscribe, and let's get into it.
I want to talk about pardons and this extraordinary situation where Joe Biden, having spent the year telling us that the rule of law means that no one can be above the law, then dramatically pardons his criminal son so he doesn't go to jail, and is now apparently considering widespread pardons for people who've not even been accused of any crimes. Well, they haven't been charged with any crimes. They've been accused of potentially committing them. And Trump has obviously seized on all this and was asked on Meet the Press about the January 6th protesters who've been jailed. And he said this.
I'm going to look at everything. We're going to look at individual cases, yeah.
Okay.
But I'm going to be acting very quickly.
Within your first 100 days, first day?
First day.
First day.
Yeah, I'm looking first day.
Issue these pardons.
These people have been there, how long is it, 3 or 4 years?
Okay.
You know, by the way, they've been in there for years, and they're in a filthy, disgusting place that shouldn't even be allowed to be open.
Now, Vinny, this is entirely predictable that Trump would say this and want to pardon a lot of the January 6th. He didn't say all of them. Clearly he was trying to make some distinction between the categories, really, of people involved. But what is your view of this pardon process generally? I mean, every president pardons people, but it does seem extraordinary that Biden, having banged on about the rule of law all year and weaponized the justice system, in my estimation, against Trump all year, is now effectively weaponizing it preemptively, where he's almost second-guessing that people like Anthony Fauci or Liz Cheney or others may or may not have committed crimes, and so he gives them these blanket immunities, apparently, right, like he's given Hunter. That's the plan, which seems to me to be an utter repudiation of the rule of law, isn't it?
Piers, I agree 100%, and obviously the left is going to play the whole, song and dance of, oh, it's his son, it's a love for his son. They went back to 2014, Piers, and if you're going to preemptive, which I don't think has ever happened, preemptive pardon, you know what that means? They're guilty, Piers. They all had a hand in it, and Dr. Fauci, okay, if any of you have read RFK's book, The Real Anthony Fauci, please read it, because everything that he said in there, if any of it was false, Piers, Joe Rogan's mentioned this, he would have been sued years ago. It shows exactly who that individual is. That person exactly. We, as Trump supporters, Piers, and you know what? Everybody expects him to come in and be this guy and no. He isn't half as bad as what we want him to be. Like Hillary Clinton, he said he was nice. He didn't want to put her in jail. He had enough to put her in jail for a very, very long time for all of her crimes, and it's ridiculous. And you know what I did, Piers? I took a list. Guess how many? A list of all the pardons by all the presidents. Franklin D. Roosevelt did 3,687 pardons. Barack Obama did 1,927. Lyndon B. Johnson, 1887. Donald Trump, 237 pardons, Piers. And you know what I mean? It's absolutely ridiculous. We all know the deal. Nobody really talks about it on the left. We know exactly what it is. And you know what? If I was Donald Trump, why doesn't he have Don Jr., Eric Trump, Ivanka, just start doing crack cocaine, start doing drugs, videotaping themselves having sex, leave the freaking laptops at a repair store with all the damning evidence, the big guy, all the business dealings, all the money that they've made, and then in 4 more years, they'll all walk free. It's absolute hypocrisy, Piers, and it's ridiculous. We know the deal, and they're all protected.
Well,
and
I do know,
Dr. Fauci, that guy had Secret Service protection for the rest of his life. Our taxpayer dollars are protecting that little rat and all the lives that he's ruined. I have friends that are vaccine injured, not that long COVID BS, Piers. Those people, if he freaking pardons that little rat, it's gonna be one of the worst travesties in the history of this freaking country. That guy belongs in prison for the rest of his life.
But I would say, Brian, it does seem extraordinary to me. I mean, my issue with Joe Biden pardoning his son is not that as a father I don't understand why he wants to stop his son going to prison. It was the blatant lying by him and Karine Jean-Pierre from the White House podium, which I thought was so damaging to his legacy and to the reputation of his administration. To do that from the podium in such a brazen and ongoing manner for months on end, and then to just do it anyway. But this development now, where they're almost second guessing that, as the Republicans were saying, I think a lot of sympathy for this, that they're saying, look, clearly the justice system was weaponized against Trump. They tried everything to put him in jail, and a lot of the people that work for him. So now Trump is suggesting that maybe we return the favor, as of course he was going to. Now, he did say, I don't want retribution. I think the best revenge is success, which is an old Frank Sinatra line, which I use in a column. I suspect that's where he got it. But I think that would be a very good strategy. Don't look back, look forward. However, the fact that Biden may be moving to give people blanket immunity against any possible crimes they committed for many years, I think is outrageous, don't you?
Piers, I think that if you're not looking at it in the context of why it's being done, then you're just ignoring reality here. The reason that Biden has to consider preemptive pardons for people like Adam Schiff and Liz Cheney is because Donald Trump is storming into office by assembling a Justice Department and folks around him in the legal community who have promised to enact Donald Trump's retribution.
But what if
toward.
they've committed
That's why
crimes?
He's doing it.
What
Let's
if
not
they've
pretend that
committed
it's
crimes?
happening in a vacuum here.
Yeah, but Brian, what if they've committed crimes, genuinely, like Hunter? What if they have committed crimes?
If Adam Schiff has committed crimes,
Yeah.
he hasn't. There's no suggestion
How
that
do
he
you know?
has.
How do you know?
Because how do you know that he has? I mean,
why
it's
pardon him?
ridiculous.
Then why pardon him?
Why pardon him is because
why
Donald
pardon him
Trump
if he hasn't
will
committed
usher
crimes?
because Donald Trump's FBI director is coming into office with an enemies list. Why wouldn't you?
Oh, you're saying they're going to
to
manufacture crimes against Schiff? Is that what you're saying? You're saying that they're going to manufacture crimes against Schiff? Does that even make sense to you? Does that even make sense to you?
If there were any crimes against Adam Schiff, then they would have brought them up at any point unto this point, but they haven't. And so
Then
Donald
why
Trump
pardon
knows
him?
that
Then why
because-
pardon him?
Yeah.
Then why pardon
Yeah.
him? Makes no sense. Your logic is totally flawed here. Makes no sense.
It's not flawed.
I
The
can
reason
answer
to
that
pardon
question.
him.
Ryan Tyler Cohen is very lucky that Piers Morgan and Julie cut him off because he had no answer to that question. Andrew Wilson asks him, why pardon him if he hasn't committed a crime? A simple question like that, and this guy is flustered. He looks over to the side and he's like,
It's not flawed.
I
The
can
reason
answer
to
that
pardon
question.
him.
wait, what? It's because Trump's bad. Trump's gonna do mean stuff to him, and they're gonna do what they did to Trump for the last 4 years? He's got no answer.
Okay, Julie, let me bring in Julie. If you can answer it, answer it.
I can answer that question because Donald Trump went to meet the press yesterday and said point blank that he thinks that the January 6th committee committed crimes. What crimes? I don't know. Maybe doing their due diligence. Stop. Maybe doing their due diligence oversight.
we have got
And as
that clip.
members of
Let's play that. I'll
Congress,
tell you
they
what.
have.
Let's play that. Julie, hang on.
They have immunity.
Hang on, Julie. I want to play the clip.
So the point here. Yes.
Let me play the clip again so we know exactly what you're talking about. We played it early, but we'll play it again.
This was a committee, a big deal. They lied. And what did they do? They deleted and destroyed a whole year and a half worth of testimony. Do you know that I think those people committed a major crime.
Sir.
And Cheney was behind it.
Well-
and so was Benny Thompson and everybody on that committee. For what they did,
Yeah.
honestly, they should go to jail.
Yeah,
So
so
what
I mean,
the hell
look.
is he talking about? So there's no. So let's just preface this. None of that is true. None of that is true.
How do you know
Just
out of
because he
interest?
says it doesn't make it true.
How do you know?
How do I know? Because
How do you know?
I would assume that if
Don't you just love leftist logic? She says, this is how I know. And then the first thing she says is, I would assume that his lawyers would have filed a motion while they were being investigated. Not in a criminal case, in the court of public opinion, in a fraud congressional committee that they slapped together to try to pin this on him. With no representation by him, essentially none. They couldn't call any witnesses. They didn't have basically anybody who was a Trump supporter or from the Republicans on the committee, except for 2 rhinos that are not even Republicans anymore. And this is their logic. This is what she thinks is a good defense as to why there's evidence that Adam Schiff didn't commit any crimes, or that the January 6th committee didn't commit any crimes, and that they should be pardoned at the same time. How does that make any sense?
Because his
assumptions are a very dangerous thing when it
motion.
comes to fact gathering.
Are you,
I'm answering
are
your
you
question.
saying that Donald
His
Trump's
lawyers
Justice
would have
Department is
filed-
going to manufacture evidence of crimes, or
I
aren't
am
you?
sa-
Because if
can
they're
I
not,
answer
you
the
have
question,
no
or do you wanna
reason to
keep
pardon
interrupting
these
me?
people. You're not
do you
really
want me to
answering the
keep talking?
question. You're going on a
Okay.
diatribe.
Well, you're not letting me answer. You're not letting me answer the
Yeah,
question.
answer, but be
Do I
concise.
believe
I
that
actually
he
want to
just-
hear it.
Okay. Well, actually, thank you so much for telling me how to speak. I
You're welcome.
think that Donald Trump just sent a very big message to Pam Bondi as to what he expects. And he expects her to start and to Kash Patel to start investigating these people. Whether they get indicted or not, it doesn't matter. It is expensive, it is consuming, and it becomes a huge pain in the you-know-what to be investigated by the federal authorities.
How rich is this lady? It's a real big pain in the butt to be investigated by the federal authorities. How rich is that? After 4 years, making stuff up, sending the third guy from the highest guy from the DOJ to New York to try to prosecute him on stuff that they had to change the law to be able to prosecute it, and then they had to lie and say that there was an underlying felony that was being committed by the campaign finance, and that it elevated to a felony, and then never explained what the felony was in court to get him convicted by a court of his not peers. This is crazy. I mean, do they really believe this? I mean, it seems like she has a straight face. It seems like this is what they really believe, which is absurd to me. But it's so funny how gaslighty they are, and they can just stare with a straight face that this is crazy that it might be difficult to be investigated by the DOJ, and they can't put the shoe in the foot, can't see reality, what's been going on in the last 4 years, and are surprised and think that, oh, this is such a bad thing, and Donald Trump is going to seek retribution, but they still can't admit that they think he's going to make charges up, and they still can't admit that if these people didn't commit a crime, then they don't need to be pardoned. So where is it? What's the logic?
And that is the message that he is sending.
Like the Russian collusion.
He knows full well that there is nothing that's been destroyed, because had it been destroyed, his lawyers would have filed a motion.
Yeah, but Julie, I would say to you,
They were not in a position where they could investigate
hang on.
They were not in a position to do that.
I would say to Julie, look, when you weaponize the justice system of the United States of America against a president of the United States, first ever criminal court case we've ever seen involving a president, and it's about shuffling some paperwork over an alleged one-night stand he denies with a porn star 18 years ago. When you render the justice system to be such a politically motivated farce, and most Americans actually thought that, when you do that as an administration, when you allow that to happen, you open up a whole can of worms. You've done it first. You've gone after this guy. You've tried everything you could, however petty, trivial, ridiculous,
now
to try and put him in jail.
whirlwind.
And when it doesn't work, and it actually
All right,
backfires, and it fuels him, and he ends
So
up
that's
winning
not,
big.
So you're talking about a state.
So here's Piers just breaks it down for him straight up, and they're not going to be able to admit. They're just gonna deflect. It's so funny how they can't see this. Watch what they say after this. Piers lays into him, explains exactly what happened, and they're just gonna avoid the question. They can't see reality. They're just gonna be like, no, that's in New York, silly. That has nothing to do with the DOJ. Even though their main third guy left the DOJ to go to a state Justice Department. Like, what is that? They can't admit it. Either they're gaslighting or they're ignorant. I don't know which one.
So you're talking about
Pierce, that's
by
the
the way,
New York
Pierce, you're talking
case.
about a state. You're talking about a state charge that has nothing to do with Joe Biden. If you're talking about the federal
I'm
investigation,
talking about Democrat-motivated prosecutors who were doing their master's lead, right?
I don't know who you're talking about. If you're talking about the Justice Department, over which Donald Trump will have authority by appointing an attorney general, I am telling you that what the Justice Department under Joe Biden was investigating is the fact that Donald Trump refused to return classified information that he stored in his bathroom at Mar-a-Lago. It is the fact that he incited a violent riot that effectively harmed and hurt or transfer of power for the first time in our nation's history.
Well, you're now
So from
convicting
that
him of all these
perspective,
crimes, which he's not being convicted of.
I'm not
None of them.
I'm
The
not
only thing he's
convicting him
being
of anything
convicted of
because
is
the jury
shuffling
has not
paperwork
convicted him.
with a porn star. And let me rephrase.
but that's-
Hang on. Wait, let me rephrase what I was saying. I'm talking about weaponizing the justice system. Let's make it a more all-encompassing thing, where you have Democrat slanted prosecutors who just want to jail Trump, even if it's down for shuffling paperwork over a porn star. To me, it was utterly ridiculous, that case. And the idea that you then criminally convict...
I don't disagree with that.
But right.
Case.
So my point is,
with
I don't think
that
anyone
case.
disagrees with it really. So here's my point: is that as a Democrat, when you look at this, what's happening now, why wouldn't Trump do this? I mean, he's perfectly entitled to return the favor, isn't he? All's fair in love and politics.
To do what?
I love how she just plays dumb. No, he's to do what? To investigate people who he thinks may have committed a crime. Isn't that exactly what they did to him for 4 years and found essentially nothing? Had to make stuff up, had to bend rules to even get any kind of little bit of anything on him. He's been investigated probably more than anybody else in probably the history of the United States. Definitely any politician more in the history of the United States. And that's all they found on him after essentially 8 years of the fine-tooth comb investigating him. And they just can't see it. They're just like, yeah, no, it's completely different when it's us. Way different. That's not even close to being the same thing. That's it's ludicrous. He needs to just pardon everybody who didn't commit a crime. Absurd.
To do what? Because
To
we
be
have
equally as aggressive.
To
To be equally as aggressive.
Political targeting.
He has specific crimes with which he was charged. What are the specific crimes with which you want to charge Liz Cheney? That she stood up to Donald Trump?
That's not the
that she did
point.
her
That's not the point.
oversight
Hang on, that's not the
duties
point.
As
No,
a congressperson?
No, but Julie, the point is, we don't know because what is being mooted is that there are going to be blanket immunities against any crime that may have been committed, which does, I'm afraid, prompt the question, what are they hiding? Why are you so scared? If there's literally nothing there,
Well, first
if
of
none
all,
of
they're
them
not
did
taking
anything
them.
wrong,
Do you see Liz Cheney
why do
accepting
you
it?
need blanket immunity?
Because you have a Justice Department that was just told in very clear terms by Donald Trump to the people that he's putting in there, whom he considers to be his loyalists, that he believes that these people committed crimes by investigating him. That is what they're looking into. Not that they might have smoked pot back in 1974 in college.
Why would you need a pardon
Not that they
for
might
that,
have
though?
driven drunk in 1983. For what?
Yeah, but why would you need a
Why do
pardon
you need a
for
pardon?
that? It makes no sense. So
because-
if Trump,
because-
even if
because
Trump is
nobody
investigating,
wants to
hang
go-
on. Let me ask the question. Even if it were the case that Trump wanted to open an investigation as to whether or not there was foul play during the previous administration's investigations of him, why in the world would this require a pardon to these people? That makes no sense to me at all.
Because why
would there be a requirement of a
because
pardon?
why do these people need to spend hundreds of thousands of dollars in legal fees on dealing with BS, which is part of their oversight duties to have done.
We don't know
they
if
were
it's
members
BS.
of
We haven't
Congress. They
investigated
have
it yet. What are you
immunity to
talking
do
about?
this. We
So we just can't investigate
excuse me,
anybody
we do
because
know
it
it's
could
BS
be
because
bad.
It is part of their.
No, we don't know.
It is part. Listen, do you understand how it works? Have you ever worked on the Hill? Because I can tell you, they have immunity as senators and Congress people to do their oversight responsibilities. There is
Well, I thought you just said
literally
a second
laws
ago
in the
that there's going to
United
be hundreds
States-
of thousands of dollars in legal fees. Now you're backtracking
because
on that?
of course you'll have to go because you're going to have to go hire lawyers to be able to prove that this was part of their
Well, I
oversight
thought you just said they had
duties.
immunity.
Do you
Like,
think
you
these
can't
people
have it
want?
both ways here.
Jesus, do you understand how this works?
Yeah.
You have to get a lawyer
trying
to go
to.
to
I'm
court
trying-
to tell a judge.
Okay, so then-
all of this.
So they don't
you
have
obviously
immunity?
don't understand how it works. You obviously don't. I'm sorry. Do you not understand what I'm getting here specifically?
Julie,
because you're
No, I don't
Hold on one second,
understand why
Pierce.
these people
Julie.
need to have a pardon because they might be investigated for potential crimes they may have committed.
Can I
and
tell
you
you
say they have
something?
nothing to worry about
Can I tell you
because there were
something?
no
What are the-
crimes.
what are the
then why do you need the
crimes?
pardon? It makes
They
no
have-
sense.
No, but Brian, hang on.
And you-
Again, don't all talk at once, please. Brian, you say, what are the crimes? That's the point. We don't know, and we may
But you're
never know.
you're looking for crimes because Donald Trump is looking for crimes because he doesn't like Liz Cheney and the fact that she did
No, he
oversight.
genuinely
But to
believes
Julie's
she's broken.
exact point,
He
not to
genuinely
Julie,
believes
here's the
she's
point.
committed crimes.
These people are ridiculous. It's comical, but also kind of sad to me. But to hear them say things like this, and it's just like, weren't you here for the last 4 years? Do you not hear what you're saying? Do you not hear yourself talking? It's absurd. He's gonna say, What crimes? They're just gonna investigate him and then try to find a crime? That's crazy. Why would anybody do that? That's so unjust. What? It is just wild to me. Either it's cognitive dissonance or ignorance and gaslighting. It's probably maybe a combination of all three, but this is just crazy. How could someone with a straight face get up there and say something like this? It is wild.
Here's the point. To Julie's exact point, first of all, what crimes? Second of all, it costs money to get legal representation to go prove all of this stuff. And third of all, it's moot because all of these people have immunity anyway. You are allowed to act in your oversight capacity in Congress and the Senate to pass legislation, to discuss this stuff.
You didn't care when Trump had to spend on lawyers. You didn't care about that.
But what law was broken? Yeah, you're right. They can't break the law, but there was no
So
law
that's
that was broken. But it doesn't change the fact.
So why do you need an all-encompassing immunity if you've never broken the law?
Why do you need all-encompassing immunity if there's no laws broken?
I don't know. I don't know.
Let me bring in Vinny.
I don't know if you guys are playing dumb or not, but the fact is
I don't think it's us playing dumb, Brian.
It costs money to go forward with this.
Okay, I'm actually playing devil's advocate.
But
I tell you what, look, hang on. I'm going to bring Vinny in, but I am playing devil's advocate here because I do think there's a shocking hypocrisy by the Democrats, led by Joe Biden. The whole year they banged on about the rule of law. No one's above the rule of law. And here is President Biden in his last few weeks basically riding roughshod over the rule of law to bail out
Piers,
all his family and all his mates.
That it's happening in a vacuum. Piers, you're pretending that it's happening in a vacuum,
no,
and
I'm not.
not because Donald Trump has come out and said that he's going to use...
I'm saying you reap what you sow, though. You reap what you sow.
But Donald Trump has promised to use his Justice Department as a vehicle to enact his personal retribution toward. That is why it's happening.
All right,
by pretending that there's...
Brian,
let me bring in
you're
Vinny.
saying good for Brian. Good, because we want Brian. Good for him. If they did illegal shit, then go to jail. You guys are talking all that crap, and you're warning what Trump is gonna do to what Biden and his DOJ has done this entire 4 years. Are you not seeing it? And
What
if
did
you think
they
you
do?
just feel
I'm
bad
curious.
because
What
they're gonna
did
have to
they
spend
do?
money, excuse me.
What did they do?
Let
Do you
me
think
finish.
Donald Trump?
Let me
Do you think
finish.
Donald Trump
You
should
think you want me to feel bad?
should have
You
stored
want me
these
to feel
documents
bad
in
for them,
Mar-a-Lago?
Julie?
I love how that's her rebuttal. Do you think that Donald Trump should have stored those documents at Mar-a-Lago? Do you think any American is really concerned about that? No one cares about that. That's one of those gotcha things that they tried to get him on when apparently he's able to do that being the president. He can declassify something, he can take documents. You try to get him on a technicality that I don't even think that even went through. I think they dropped the charges on it, and that's her thing. Look how smug she's being about it too. She's talking about, do you really think that he should have stored them there? And we're talking about weaponizing the DOJ to go after your political opponents, but her concern is whether or not documents were stored right. Look at this it's crazy. I can't believe that this is I can't believe that this is the people that I guess this is half the country, almost half the country. It's crazy.
Spending money on lawyers. How much money have they gutted out of Donald Trump? How many people have suffered for that fake-ass crossfire hurricane?
Zero, because he had his campaign pay for everything. Zero,
Russia
because people like you
collusion,
sent money
Hillary
into
got fined, DNC got fined. You're not going to talk over me. Let me finish. Thank you. And your whole, he incited an insurrection. It's all bullshit. There was no insurrection. He said, go quiet, go peaceful, don't hurt anybody. It got out of hand, but well, the FBI can't even answer. How many FBI agents were on the ground? Ted Cruz asked her in Congress.
Oh my God.
How many of them incited violence? It's all fake.
Like listening
Nobody
to a
got
Facebook
arrested for
comment.
If we're going to
insurrection.
go down the conspiracy rabbit hole, there's no point even talking about this because it's like one person is saying that the earth is round and somebody else is saying the earth is flat. You're a flat earther, there's no point in debating.
All right, don't
It
talk
doesn't
at once.
fit your
You're a
narrative.
flat
Don't talk
earther,
at once.
there's
Although I
no
would
point in
say, Julie, hang on.
Julie,
I would say, Julie, if we're going to go down conspiracy routes, I do remember a 2-year conspiracy being peddled by almost everyone in the American media that Trump had the election fixed by his collusion with Vladimir Putin, which turned out to be horseshit.
That's right.
So, it does depend which conspiracy theory you want to hitch
Is
your
that in
home
relation
to.
to Robert Mueller's
Excuse me.
investigation?
I don't recall ever saying that Vladimir Putin and Donald Trump colluded to steal the election. So let's not say that
but
everybody
a lot
was
of
saying
people
it.
did.
I will say to you,
And the
if you
media
think-
did fuel that
if you
bullshit for
think-
2
if
years.
you- Okay, but you're asking me to debate, but Piers, you're asking right now for me to debate somebody who thinks that January 6th was a peaceful protest that got out of hand because the FBI set up these poor MAGA people to go beat up cops.
Yeah, it was.
I mean, if we're going to have that kind of conversation, if we're going to have that kind of conversation, stop screaming in my ear, please. If we're going to have that kind of conversation,
why did
hang on.
Down
National Guard?
The earth is flat.
Why did they not want the National Guard there?
Just for the record.
Why did Stephen Son, the chief of Capitol
the
Police,
National
say
Guard,
that they were requesting help, and she denied it? She's on camera. You're delusional. Okay?
If you're
I actually thought, hang on.
I'm not interested.
Hang on. I actually thought the most interesting point that Trump made in relation to all that was the different double standard. I thought what happened on January 6th was appalling, and I think that a lot of people behaved extremely badly, and a lot of them should have gone to prison, which they did. I think maybe it was overdone, and some of them got ridiculously long sentences. But I thought the point that Trump made about the hypocrisy and double standard of how, for example, the BLM rioters were treated with the devastating damage that they caused, I thought it was a very good point. And I think, again, it comes back to the hypocrisy, right? Democrats cheered on the BLM rioters. That was all in the cause of tackling racism. But here you have people who believe they were standing up for democracy. I don't agree that they were right. They shouldn't have been doing it. But there was a double. But Julie.
I'll tell you which one cheered on the BLM rioters. This one right here.
I know that there are protests still happening in major cities across the United States. I'm just not seeing the reporting on it that I had
that's right.
for the first few weeks.
That's right. But they're not going to stop. They're not going to stop. And they're not, this is a movement, I'm telling you. They're not going to stop. And everyone beware, because they're not going to stop. They're not going to stop before Election Day in November, and they're not going to stop after Election Day. And everyone should take note of that on both levels, that they're not going to let up, and they should not. And we should not.
Hang on, Julie. There was a double standard. There was a double standard in how the different types of protesters got treated. There was.
Piers, if you're suggesting that Democrats cheered on BLM rioters,
she's avoiding the question. He asked her. There was a clear double standard between the two, the way that both of the rioters were treated, and she completely avoids the question because she knows that there's a huge difference. January 6th protesters, people who didn't do anything but walk into that building, are still in jail 3 years later. In bad conditions, can't even post bail. This is ridiculous. And she's going to sit there and try to avoid the question and try to change the subject. These people are bad people.
Yeah.
They gave them entire cities to destroy.
What?
They gave them whole cities to destroy.
Crazies on the left cheered on BLM rioters? You're saying the Democratic Party cheered them on?
Yes.
Really? You're saying that Nancy Pelosi cheered on people who were rioting and looting during Black Lives Matter?
Yes.
They were saying it was a peaceful
that's what I'm saying.
You're delusional.
Show me where Nancy Pelosi at the time was saying that. Show me where Joe Biden or Nancy Pelosi or Kamala Harris or anybody else was saying that.
Too busy getting on her knees.
You know what we need now?
That's all I got for this one tonight. Piers Morgan always has great shows. In my opinion, he's got a good mix of people, but man, the people on the left are just insufferable. It's now that we've won and they have to try to face reality, they still can't do it. They're still just stuck in their little bubble. They can't face the cognitive dissonance. They gaslight everything. They can't see people think from other people's perspectives, and they can't admit what happened the last 4 years and what's about to happen, and they're going to gaslight from now till who knows when. And hopefully everybody like us keeps waking other people up, and they can't continue with this, and we're going to continue to win, and we're going to change America for the better. So with that, please like and subscribe, and I'll catch you on the next one.
Right wing and all clear. Censorship ends here. Stand tall and fight bold. Guillotine, Janine's unrolled.